All right, so welcome to what is effectively the second part of our delete install videos for the 3-liter Q7. But if you are new to the channel, my name is Ty. This is my 3-liter Q7 TDI build that we are going to be doing tons of stuff to. I have a Mark II TTS. I've built other TDIs and everything. And if you are new here, do not forget to subscribe because we are going to be doing lots of stuff on this build. But we're going to go ahead and continue doing our delete. I do have all the components for the delete already that we are working with Darkside developments on, because we do have the EGR delete for them as well, and we do have all of the delete pipes for the exhaust that we are going to be installing today. I do live in Canada, so everything that I am installing as far as doing the deletes is not going against any emissions laws because we don't really have any up here anymore. So if you are following this to do installs and you do live in America or anywhere that does have some form of a smog testing or emissions bodies, make sure that you are allowed to do this before you're following anything I tell you in this video, because I'm not responsible for what you do to your own vehicle. But yeah, we're gonna start by removing the primary cats, which come right off the turbo, which is up here, and I will have better lighting up here once we move up here to do this part. But we're actually going to start down at the bottom, and the first recommendation I can make when we're doing this delete is you're going to want to go ahead and pre-lube everything, like maybe a day in advance. I've lubed up all of the bolts that I have to take off the car for about 2 to 3 days. And one thing I'm going to show you, because we're actually going to start underneath the car, is there are some things when the DPFs and other components of the emission system have been changed under the warranty. Sometimes Volkswagen will not reinstall things properly, or Audi, or whoever you take it to. So you might have to do some things to get the DPF and the cats out that you're not going to be super stoked to do. And the first thing is you're going to want to make sure that you might have a Sawzall or a large angle grinder or something on standby, because even though some of these cars will still be low mileage, if you're going to go ahead and pick one of these up to start doing the deletes now that the emissions warranty is expiring, rust is a thing. Some bolts and stuff don't want to come out, so you're going to have to potentially do some chopping. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about, because underneath my Q7, the bolts that connect the primary downpipe with the primary cats to the DPF section of my Q7 are, number one, facing the wrong direction and are so rusty that I can't even get the proper size wrench on the bolts. So we're gonna have to resort to immediately cutting it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see right here. So this flange right here is what connects the main cat downpipe to our DPF system and the secondary cats and all that. So right here, this flange has some bolts that rust out very, very easily. And there's a bolt up here, there's a bolt like way up in here, and then there's another one over here on the other side. They rust out and they round out quite easily. So we're already beginning to cut this because it's just going to make our life a lot easier instead of sitting here fighting this. If you're ever going to want to go back to stock, obviously you're not going to want to do this, but if you own a welder, you could just weld this back on if you ever had to, and then disassemble this outside of the car. I'm never going to go back to stock, so I'm just going to cut it out, which obviously if you don't want to do that, you're going to have to get these bolts out somehow, either up through the top, or you're going to need some quite amazing abilities to get access in between, specifically to the one that's in between the frame rail here and up above the body. You can drop the skid plate, which is what I'm going to do here in a second, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more idea of what we're working with here. But that's what we're doing to get the DPF out, and then we'll move back to the top.
Now where have I just gone and put that brand new blade I brought down here?
And as far as Sawzall blade recommendations, 9 inches would probably be good, because you're going to want the extra length so you're not fighting in between the body or the transmission. And then obviously put on like an extra layer of gloves. If you're using gloves at all, that's up to you. And then safety equipment. Put on some goggles. No sense going blind working on a Volkswagen. Just go blinding for a way cooler reason than that, if you're gonna go blind at all. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna try and unbolt it from the top now and get it to come out, because I think we're all the way through, so. Okay, so we're switching over to the zoom lens just so that we can get you guys a little bit of a better angle on what we're going to be doing here. We're looking at the back side of the turbo here, so this is the exhaust side of the turbo. And we're gonna be pulling the 3 main downpipe studs off. I'm actually gonna lower the car back down a little bit as well. So like I said, we're gonna start by getting the downpipe bolts off. There are 3. I believe they are all 12 millimeters. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a 12 mil ratcheting wrench just to get in here. Get these guys all off. Now, like I said, I have been... We're gonna use a 12 mil socket and ratchet. I wouldn't really recommend using power tools unless your threads are extremely clean on your DPF. And we're gonna have a bunch of sensors that we're also gonna disconnect that I will walk you guys through in a second here. Some of them are to be reused, some of them won't. Because as you can see, if you can see it in the camera, we do have 3 sensors up here. 2 of them are O2 and NOx, and then the other one's an EGT sensor. I believe the only thing that we will be running, and this is obviously dependent on who you're tuned by, I think all we're gonna be running is EGT. So, and yeah, it pays to soak your bolts. We're not sitting here struggling. All 3 downpipe bolts are off. You should be able to separate it a decent amount now. So we're gonna go ahead and now I'm gonna show you guys what sensors you're gonna need to disconnect just to get everything out of the engine bay to start with. Over on this side here, you're just basically gonna wanna follow your wires here. And the 2 that are EGT and I believe O2 sensor are fairly easy to get to. The only thing that's gonna be difficult is getting them out of the little clip that's in the back here. You can actually go ahead and lube up your sensors as well, because we are going to have to transfer some of these over to the new DPF. Make our lives a little bit easier later on. Now, of course, Volkswagen doesn't really give you a ton of slack to work with here. Things are going to get a little bit difficult. So there's one that's like the brownish wire that you're going to want out. And then there is a black wire, or a black plug, sorry, not wire. Get that one out as well. And then we also have and this is your NOx sensor wire. I'm not entirely sure how that one is going to come out. So I think I'm going to try to remove that one in the car.
I had to switch to the iPhone on this one. The next thing you have to undo, here's your DPF. You got to come back here.
And you got to undo this bracket.
Right here.
This stupid bracket. You can either undo it from the 1 bolt there or the 2 bolts on the bell housing. I don't know what's going to be the best way to do either. We're going to try a couple ways. Okay, it is for sure a 13. Got it loose. So let's see if I can get a ratcheting on here. And I hope this ratcheting wrench has enough angle to get on here, because there's a lot of fucking stupid ass lines in the way, naturally. And of course, it doesn't have enough angle. Of course, you know, make a DPF and a CAT service real easy on this car, hey Volkswagen? Okay, I'm gonna undo these and then I will come back. Okay, so both of those bolts are out. The downpipe immediately did move, so now we just have to convince it to come out the top. And we're also gonna verify if we've cut all the way through our DPF yet, which I'm not entirely sure if we have, but we're gonna go try and give it a tug from the top and see how far we get.
So one thing I completely forgot to mention, and I will circle this in beautiful MS Paint here, is to make your life a little bit easier to get the downpipe out the top. Like, I have my intake manifold off because I'm doing some other stuff that I talked about in a previous video, like the EGR delete. But you can take the back portion of the firewall out directly below the windshield wiper cowl to make your life a little bit easier. I found out the hard way and didn't really know this until I actually got this out with the help of having the intake manifold out. You can go ahead and remove that piece in the back, and I will link how to do that in the description so you guys don't have to struggle like I did. So.
So after about 20 minutes of off-minute yelling and a little help from my handy-dandy friend the Sawzall, I couldn't get the, what I assume is the NOx sensor out. Hopefully that's not important, because it ain't going back in. So that guy's out now, and this guy's gonna go in, But before we do that, we're gonna go underneath the car and pull the DPF out. So I'm gonna switch back to the wide angle so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then we'll get that guy out. So now we have to take out these 3 bolts here. I believe these are gonna be 13 mils. Let me find out. Oh, 12 on one side. And, oh, that's because one of the bolts is aftermarket. Nice. So they're actually all 12 mils, so I could probably take these out while I'm just sitting here. Yeah, there we go, of course. Classic Volkswagen, so that's broken. So now let's try the other one. Of course, the bolt on the backside is spinning. Well, look at that, the first exhaust bolt that actually came off properly on this fucking car. And of course, there's some stupid fucking EGT sensor. Like, imagine if you had to get this EGT sensor out. How, please explain to me how is a great way to design a place to put an EGT sensor. Why not put it literally like 2 inches farther down the pipe on either side? But no, right at the end of the fucking DPF above the goddamn transmission crossmember. Good job, Volkswagen. There's one, and there's 2. Oh, nothing in there. Okay, so after fishing this absolute nightmare of the DPF out, because we had to chase this EGT sensor because this guy seized, we're now gonna try and get that off. We'll swap it over, put the hangers back on, I guess. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But anyways, I'm gonna swap the hangers over and or the EGT sensor over, I'll be right back. All right, so after a wee bit of, where is it? Where's the DPF? This is the DPF, right? I struggled to get this EGT sensor out, and the threads are broken inside the bung. So this EGT sensor is shot. However, I forgot with the tune that I'm gonna be putting on this car, it only relies on pre-turbo EGT. It doesn't rely on post, so I don't even really need it. So I spent a good hour trying to get that EGT sensor out, just for me to realize I'm just gonna put a bolt in it. Now, one thing that is cool, if you are going to block this off and whatever company you bought this from didn't give you a bolt to put in here or like whatever, you can use a drain plug. If you have an old like 2-liter TDI or a FSI or TFSI drain plug, you can just put one of these bad boys in here because it's an M14 by 1.5 thread. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the downpipe in now. I was gonna go buy a light because I realized that this probably isn't the best for you guys, so I have to keep moving the frickin' the light that I have around. But I'm gonna throw the downpipe in. There are a couple of things that we could continue to go ahead and fully delete as far as like there's some pressure differential hoses and stuff that run down in here. And we're gonna obviously tuck some sensors and everything because we're gonna have some loose plugs. Like this EGT sensor no longer connects to anything. So I'm gonna do some tucking and stuff. I'm gonna show you guys how I tucked all that. And then, yeah, so let's throw the downpipe in and then we'll go back under the car. We'll throw the DPF delete in, and then we also still have to get the rear resonator or the secondary cat delete in. That one's a little bit easier, so I'm not gonna stress too hard about that. And that one does also have bungs on it, but I do have the bolts for those. So let's get the light on, put the downpipe in. I think. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put my handy dandy engine creaser back on here. We're gonna slap this bad boy in. Now, this little thing down here is gonna be a whole other battle. I showed you guys kind of that we had to take this off, and I know putting this back on is gonna be fun. I'm hoping I can do that after I have this on. So we're gonna do that before we put the mid pipe kind of on here. Okay. Ah. Ooh, don't fall away in, please don't fall away in. Okay, there we go. Now, obviously, whenever you do exhaust stuff, never fully snug everything up right away because we want to make sure. I have gloves. Why don't I have freaking gloves on? Yeah, you want to make sure that things are still a little bit loose because obviously you're going to want to be able to move stuff around. We're just going to put the 3 nuts for the top on. Just a couple of threads so that we have movement room. But Also not gonna lose the downpipe out of its natural position. Well, I shouldn't say natural position, but just like a position that we can work with. We're gonna go under now. And we're gonna switch over to the phone because I think it's gonna be a lot easier.
Yonder. Wow, this kit fits pretty damn good. So I don't even know if you guys will be able to see what I'm doing here. Hey, look, one of my hats. So we're gonna take this guy. Remember, it sits like this. Finagle this thing up in here. Use our finger ability here. The ladies love. See, and now, because it's loose, I have lots of room to work with. So remember to leave things a little bit loose in terms of mechanics and not other things. Use those finger abilities, feel around for some stuff. Now you don't want to bend the line that's right in the way here too, because that go to your transmission, and that would be bad. Actually, I'll show you guys before I tighten this all up, kind of what it looks like. So there's the bracket. Can I zoom in? Right there. I'm just gonna tighten that up, and then our downpipe won't be so loosey-goosey here in a second, once we get all that sorted. Okay, so before I go ahead and commit to that hole, because there's two holes in the bracket of the Darkside downpipe, before I fully commit to that and tighten it, we're gonna double check and make sure the downpipe is still aligned and is gonna sit flat up top. And I would say we're probably good to tighten that down. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten it down now.
The old extendo blicky. And then this guy, gotta go somewhere over yonder on the Chattahoochee. Nice.
Okay, so that guy is all tied up in there. Now we gotta slap this bad boy in. I'm probably gonna start undoing this as well, because we gotta get this out, and I already know that's gonna be tons of fun. You guys like my fucking OSHA rated shoes? Pretty mint. Dude, you could totally make this thing a twin turbo. Look at that. Thing would be mint.
All right, let's undo that knock sensor thing. I think that's what it is. That little Gucci down to the socks like it's Big Papa. Nice, look at that. Get out of there. We don't need you. Okay, now that I've got the old knock sensor as my tripod, I will now remove this portion, which hopefully the micro DAC has the capacity to do. Wow, those actually came out surprisingly easy, or I'm jacked. Both are relatively equal. I'm just kidding. I'm not that big. Okay, we're gonna have to fucking delete that guy out of here. Okay, there's a little box up here. This feller, where is it? This feller, done disconnected him, pulled him out because he's coming out with this. So now we're gonna have to undo the O2 or whatever the hell that is. It's fire time. Okay, it's been on there for about a minute and a half. Let's see. Nope. Still nothing. Maybe let's just fucking try to undo it instead of sitting here struggling. See you later, nerd. Oh, so maybe instead of scratching my drive shaft, I should go let the other side down. What do you guys think? Let's put the DPF delete in now. Like this, I guess. Not that loud for being fully straight piped. Okay, so we do now have the
secondary cat delete installed with the resonator and everything. I didn't film this part because not a lot of people actually do this portion of the delete. They mainly just stick to doing the DPF, which is this section over here, and the primary cats as well. So it's a fairly straightforward just exhaust clamp, and then the 3 bolts here. I also do have the def injector reinstalled because I don't have a blanking plate for that, but that'll be a whole other video because I'm going to show you guys how to pull all of the AdBlue and DEF system out. And then there are a couple of plugs. There's one here, and then there's one on the back side here. Those are both supplied in the kit, so those are both installed. But now that we do have the full kit installed to the factory, I want to call it the cat back. Let's show you guys what it sounds like. So at idle, it's not much different, but when you rev it, you'll see the turbo you can definitely hear. So we also do have our tune installed right now. I'm gonna do a whole other video on doing the actual process of tuning the 3-liter TDI. If you guys do want to check out the tune in advance for what we're going to be running on the car, go to the link in the description. I do have my link to Tunezilla, gets you 10% off. So if you guys want to go ahead and pick up a Malone Tuning or Tunezilla tune for your 3-liter TDI, don't forget to check that out in the description. But so once again, big shout out to Darkside and everybody over there for helping me out with this build. If you want to pick up any of the Darkside delete components for your Q7 or your Q5 or your Touareg, don't forget to check out the link in the description. But anyways, folks, that will do it. If you do have any questions for doing the delete install on any of your 3-liter TDI stuff, let me know and I will try to respond as much as I can in the comments. And stay tuned for some more diesel delete install stuff. Like I said, we're going to do the AdBlue/SCR delete stuff, dropping the tank and all that. We do have the EGR cooler delete installed as well, and I will show you guys how to install that in the next video. Along with tuning, we're going to be lifting the car and doing a bunch of other stuff. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before this video goes over 30 minutes long, because I'm sure this is super long already, thank you once again. Do not forget to subscribe. Peace out. I will see you in the next video.